Hi, I'm Sandy Babb and welcome to my studio. We are returning for part 3 of my hashtag Just Junk Journal challenge hosted by Dear Julie here on YouTube. This is part 3 of my tutorial series of building my mixed media junk journal. And in this session, I'm going to be starting to prepare pages. I didn't have a lot of junk to use for my pages, so I need something to substitute as paper since I didn't have a lot of paper. I do have some of my magazine stuff, my calendar stuff, the book we're allotted, and I have some packing paper, and those were my only sources of page paper to actually put in here. So I'm going to make myself some page paper out of fuse bags. So for this project, if you're following along and want to do this, you're going to need a little ironing surface, an iron. It needs to be set on medium to low. It's gonna I'll explain that as we go through there. There's not an exact setting because all irons heat differently. This is kind of a trial and error thing. You have to be willing to experiment and you know, possibly even mess up some bags before you get it perfect on how your iron is going to respond to this. It needs to be dry, not wet. Set it on a dry setting, and I'll set that aside to heat. I have some scissors here. I have some plastic shopping bags. I have some parchment paper to protect my ironing surface and my iron. And for part of the prep, I have some paint. I did end up changing the white paint to the ivory paint. So this is more of an off-white, just an ivory cream paint. I have the craft paint, and I have my little spreader. If you saw my other thing, I was using this for glue. Well, now I'm going to use it for paint. It's going to be my applicator. So that's what I have for this portion of the tutorial. And what I'm aiming for, I can show you a piece that is already fused and painted. What I'm aiming for is to go from this to this. It is a textural paper. This has already been painted. You could paint it any colors. We are only allotted one color. So, and obviously with the yellow, I don't even have to paint it because it's already yellow. But this was with the white bags. You can use pretty much any plastic bags. Experiment. Some bags are thicker. You're gonna adjust your layering to make your paper according to the thickness of the bag. These thin ones, you need more layers of this super thin plastic and less layers of this, and even less if, say, you have something like some of the thicker Target bags. You know, the thicker, you know, heavier plastic, or like the Barnes and Noble bags, the green ones they're like the thicker plastic. You need less layers to fuse your paper. They're totally paintable. You can use them how they are. I do get rid of the text. You can leave the text if you like that. I get rid of that. So this is what we're aiming for. And now I can cut this. I can sew it. It's very durable. Now when you write on it, you do have to write on this with a permanent marker. It's not going to really... You could test it. I'll test some little spots and I'll get back to you on exactly, but I've always just used a permanent marker on it. But this is going to give me something textural I can work with. I can make embellishments out of this. I could just, you know, cut this down and do little, you know, little short pages to go in my journal. So I've got little things. You can sew this like a fabric. It's really soft, almost like a buttery thin leather. And so you get a lot of real estate out of your bags, and they don't go into the landfill. So that's what we're going to do right now. So to prep your bags, you're going to cut off, kind of smooth them out as best as you can. You know, they're a little wonky. Now I'm just going to make 2 small samples here. When you're doing larger, you're going to use larger bags, but I do just want to tell you I'm just using the small. I'm going to do a small sample here. You cut off the handles. Okay. Now those can go in the recycling bin. And you cut off the bottom of the bag. This, well, it's not going to faux flat. I'll just kind of take it off. You cut off the bottom of the bag where it's sealed together and discard that. Now, I don't like the words in mine. If you don't mind the words, leave the words. It's fine. I'm going to take the words out. I want just a solid paper without all that in there. A true junk journaler would probably leave those in there. But I'm making mine sort of mixed media, and like I think I said in my first video, I still want a pretty journal. Even if it is just made from trash and junk, I still want a pretty journal. So, this piece, I'm going to keep this one because I'll probably use some of this. I may take some small pieces of this and fuse it to make some little embellishments. So I'm not tossing this yet. Now the handles and stuff, they've got sealed little ridges and things, and I'm not going to keep those right now, but that part I will keep. Okay? And you're going to prep your yellow bags the same as you prep your white bag. And I'm just going to make mini samples for you instead of making large sheets with this. So I think I'll go ahead and prep the yellow bag and have it ready. Keep that away from my warming iron. That would be bad. Melt plastic everywhere. And you might could fuse some of these areas if you want to, like that would be a good fusible area. So I'm just going to put all of my little crumbs aside here, and I can go back to those later as I'm doing this. I can, you know, go back and make some pieces that I can use for other things in the journal. I'll fuse them all and have them all set aside and ready. Now this bag does have this little black stamp. I never worry about that. I just use it anyway with that little, because you can usually work around it. You can stick something on there or cut around it or whatever. I will keep this because I can fuse some of that. Actually, I'll use the scraps to show you something cute you can do with that. How's that? Okay, so let's start with the white bag. You're going to put down a piece of parchment paper to protect your ironing surface. With the white bags, it's best to have 4 layers. So I'm going to cut this. I'm not going to, usually I'll do 4 layers like this. This is about as big as I work. That's almost like a 12 by 12, whoops, turn the ruler over. That's almost like a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. This will get you, and now it shrinks a little bit, but this gives you kind of an idea of if you put 4 layers, you know, 2 bags, if you use 2 bags this size folded in half, you're going to get 4, you know, almost a 12 by 12 sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half here because I want to show you a couple different things. So I'm going to make just some small samples, and I'll show you the larger samples I've got ready. So with this one, I'm just going to make a small sample. I'm going to fold it in half. Now you can cut it if you want to. You don't have to cut it if you don't want to. And then I'm going to fold it in half again. Oops, that little dirt out there. Kind of press it from the middle out and try to get any air out of it. The more air you get out of it, the better. And honestly, it's better if you don't fold, but you cut your folds. So since I'm telling you that, I'll do that because it helps the air escape. If you leave it folded, the air kind of gets in that little crease there. Try to line these up a little bit. I'll go ahead and cut that off. You can get an air pocket in there and it doesn't seal. So it's really better if they're cut all apart so that you can squish all that air out. Now here's where it gets fiddly and you have to practice. Irons are all different. So if it's too hot, you're gonna make Swiss cheese like this. Now, I'm not saying that sometimes I don't purposefully make Swiss cheese, because this is beautiful collage material right here. And it almost resembles the mulberry paper that you buy that's kind of expensive that has little holes in it. And yes, you can go ahead and paint this. So if your iron is too hot, this is what you're going to get, a Swiss cheese holy look, okay? So you have to kind of, it's a, like I said, it's a weird method to do it. Put your other piece of parchment on top, kind of, you know, smush out any air bubbles. Using your iron, light pressure, keep it moving, iron over it. Now, this might take a couple of irons before you fuse it. Don't hold it in place because then it's for sure going to melt. And you'll see it shrinking and getting little wrinkles in it when you do this. You can just lift this up and check it. Mine is obviously not, I can tell it's not fused. None of that is fused. My iron seems a little hot because it's got a lot of wrinkles in it. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Hit it again. Just a quick iron. Did you see it shrink underneath there? It does shrink up. I don't know if you could see it moving through the paper, but it does shrink up. Okay, that piece is completely fused. I've got a really cool wrinkly texture on that side, and this side's actually a little more smooth. That was about perfect, and my iron doesn't really have a setting. I'll show you where it's at. It's between these two dots right here. And there's not a, this is just an iron that I got at a, let's see, those two dots say that they're polyester. Let me look at the handle. Polyester, wool, and cotton. Those two dots are polyester. So maybe somewhere around-ish your polyester or a little undersetting. How about we go for that? Okay, so now I've got this little really sturdy fuse piece. And also, if you don't have Tyvek, you know, a lot of people use when they're doing the hinges on their book, and some people glue Tyvek on there. You can fuse this and use it in place of Tyvek instead of buying Tyvek envelopes or something that are actually kind of expensive. You can make your own hinge reinforcement out of this. So keep that in mind, that, you know, keep those plastic bags, okay? So to do a yellow one, we used 4 layers on the white one. This bag is much thinner. You need 6 layers to make a little yellow sheet. So I've got 1, I'm folding it over to 2 and 3, and I'm going to cut it because I'm using the other part of the bag to show you something else that you can do. I'm going to keep some of it, and then I'll fold it and cut off all these extras. And so that gives me 6 little spots. This might take even a lower heat than your white bags, the yellow bags, because they're so thin. It might take a little bit of a lower heat. Let's see, is everything cut now? Now I think I got to fold there too. Okay, I was trying to remember how I folded this. What a mess, what a mess. Sorry if I'm cutting off camera. I'm just trying to cut. Okay. And you'll even these up before you use them. Don't worry about how they come out irregular or whatever. So I'm going to put them in here and try to line them somewhat up. I guess I got them cut right there. Yeah, I did. Okay. Line them somewhat up and get some of that air out of there. Now these you might see shrink even faster. So you kind of just do a quick swipe, light pressure, let it cool a second, and check it. Now some people, I've seen some people just really iron over theirs. Every time I've done that, I melt the bag. So I just don't do it that way. I think that needs it a little bit more. I'm going to turn it over and do it on the other side. I think it needs a little bit more. Yeah, so you can see, I don't know if you can see that corner start to shrink up. That's when you're getting a little too much heat. See, I got really wrinkly. I left it on there a little bit too long, but I don't care. I would use this. And in fact, I'm going to show you, I'll show you right here how I did use some of this after it was painted on the front of a mini journal. Let's see. Come in here. Do you see this blue paper right here? This has been painted with some blue and green paint. And this has been just used as texture. It's really wrinkly, kind of like this yellow one, real wrinkly. But this one's been painted. It was just a white bag that had been painted. So you can use this in a lot of ways in your work, okay? Now, I'm going to show you, now that you know how to make your pages, I'll show you some painting on our little sample. And then we'll learn to do some, whoops, almost knocked my paper through that hole in there so that we get something like this. And what I do is just take I've got a piece of just a piece of scrap paper here. I've got some of my little paper that I just made, that little sample. I think I'll do this side because it's just pretty. I'm just going to take a little craft paint and sprinkle a little line out there. You could do this with a paintbrush, but why not just use whatever you're already working with, and this gets the paint on there really quickly. I can quickly coat my plastic with paint. This works with acrylic paint. Now, if you try to do watercolors and other things, it's not going to work as well because this is plastic. Acrylic is a paint is essentially a plastic. So it's plastic to plastic, okay? So you're not going to get chipping, peeling, you know, all those things that you might get if you do this on something else. And I like using this because it's a quick coverage. That's why I like using the little cardboard thing. It's quick coverage. I get it down in all the creases and cracks, and it's done. Let's see. Come on, a little paint. I need a little bit more. I think that paint's getting out. I probably should switch it. I'm sure I've got some more of that color under there. Oh, I can't switch it out. Julie said to use one bottle. Okay, I'll make do. No problemo. Now, do not dry this with a heat tool or hair dryer, because then you'll just get a little crumply, melty ball of plastic. You do not want that. Let it dry. I'm going to pick it up or try to without getting it all over me. I did remember not to wear long sleeves. But see how it's all painted? And it was like, let me find a piece that's just plain. This is the plain paper, the color difference compared to when it's painted. And you can then take an ink pad and lightly rub over this and it'll almost look like leather. You can mix and match your paints. You can also scribble into this if you wanted to, you know, with your little thing, and make scribbles and designs. Something else that's fun is take your paint bottle, the bottom of your paint bottle, twist it, lift it, and it makes almost these little circular spots in the paint. Let me see if I can lift this so you can see it. Get it at an angle. Can you see that circle right there I made? You can make that, you know, dig into the paint a little bit, you know, just like you would on paper. So whatever you're doing in your art journal or whatever. So I'm going to put that piece aside to dry. I'm going to get rid of that. I've already got some pieces fused here and ready to go. This piece was where I had done some cutoffs. I was doing some Swiss cheese in yellow. And this piece is just a little cutoff piece. And I've got some that are larger sheets, some that are smaller sheets. Now, what you're going to do is figure out what size you need, measure yours out, and cut it. I haven't cut any of these yet because I'm not sure. I'm sure I'll probably end up with most of them cut to this size. This is cut down to about 10 by 10 and a half-ish rough. You know, almost like a 10 by 10 sheet of paper. Okay, and both sides of this I've already coated with paint. But I wanted to show you a couple of other fun things to do with this. Man, this stuff, it's fly away. I will tell you that. You might need to weight it down. It flies away everywhere. Okay, now you can take some of the, we had some little leftovers, and I want to take some of these little handle pieces. This piece right here might work. Let's see if I can get it cut to work. I kind of want to get a square of this. Somewhat of a square. Doesn't have to be perfect because I'm just going to fold it. Okay, I'm going to fold this kind of like a triangle, fold it again like a triangle, fold it again like a triangle, and fold it again like a triangle. Keeping in mind where my, well, let's see, where's my first fold? Okay, you got to keep this first fold right here on this side in mind. Let me fold it again. Okay, triangle, triangle. I got to keep up with where this corner is at all times. Then fold it in a triangle. If I keep that on my right side, I know where it is every time. Fold it into another triangle. Okay, I've still got that little thing right there on the right. Now I'm going to take my scissors and just round this like a petal. And I'm taking off some of that fold there. I'm going down into the fold. And when I unfold this, I'm just going to have a flower. You know, like those little kindergarten flowers you learn to make. This is going to be a big old yellow flower. Oops. If I can get it undone, it's going to be a big old yellow flower, I promise. Once I get it undone. Okay. Static electricity. Come on. Oh my goodness, I can't get it to unfold. It's so staticky. Okay. See, I have a big yellow flower out of that. So what you can do that's kind of fun, say I'm going to make an envelope or a pocket or something with this. I can take the yellow flower. I'm going to cut a little piece of white out of this handle and kind of make myself, this is totally sticking to me everywhere. It's terrible. Okay. I'm going to take a piece of the white and take two little kind of squares and lay them together. And I'm just going to cut myself kind of a rough little center circle here, because this, I'm going to tell you, this stuff's slippery. Now you could go ahead and use some of the fuse, but I'm just trying to use up the scraps, you know. And I'm not asking this to be perfect. I'm going to put two little white circles there, okay. Then I'm going to take a permanent marker. And I couldn't find my double permanent marker, so I just had to go back to a Sharpie. I don't know what happened to it. I'm going to put some little dots on this one here just to make a little center. And if you want to do some little drawing lines out like this, you can do that too, you know, to make it more interesting. That's okay too, whatever you want to do. I'm taking another piece of that white plastic, and I just have one piece that I folded in half. I'm going to take out that fold I'm cutting out that fold so that it won't get air in it. And this one I'll probably use to make a little envelope, a little kind of a clear envelope. Now you need a little bit more cool setting on your iron. And try to get my plastic bags over here where they'll behave. Got my parchment paper here. I'm going to put down one piece of this plastic. And hopefully I don't burn this. You know, everything like that happens when you're on camera. And then I'm going to put, let's see, how's my envelope going to be? I want this to be, this could be the flat. I'll put this down here. This could like be a flat. So I'm putting my flower down. And I'm doing 2 layers of the center just because I want it to be more darker, I guess. Now this is going to not be perfect. It will distort a little bit. And you just kind of have to be happy with how it comes out. I'm just trying to get enough that I think I can make like an envelope or something out of it. So I'm going to put my second piece of paper down. Everything looks like it's okay. You can see, whoops, I did scoot it, didn't I? Okay, everything looks pretty okay. I'm going to burn myself. I just feel it. I feel that I'm going to burn myself. Okay, lined it back up. Everything's good. This back on top. Everything looks good. I wish I'd put it on my ironing board the other way. Let's turn it, because that is a long piece of paper. And everything's still lined up. I'm going to hit it light. And I'm going to do this one real light because I don't want it to mess up. And I'm going to see if it fused. Man, I'm going to have plastic everywhere in my studio. Okay, it didn't quite fuse as much as I want it to, so I'm going to hit it again on that side. Now, see, it started shrinking up on me. It fused that time. It's shrinking up. But look, now I have a little flower sealed inside there. I'm going to hit one little area again. Okay, now I will take this, and you can tell it's not a perfect little flower. There is a spot there that's not fused. Okay, I may have to let it shrink even more. I did. Okay, that's fine. Just remember, it's not going to be a perfect looking thing. Let me lay it on a piece of this yellow so you can see that better. Does that help it show up better? I've got a little thing in there. Then I can take this. I'm going to fold it in half to kind of level, you know, even it up. You can take this and even your sides up. I'm not even sure that that fold looks even. Let me cut it and see what it looks like. I may have to refold it and cut. But you're going to cut it like that. I'm going to cut all this mess off down here on the bottom so that I've got a few, you know, a solid piece. Let's see, my fold is not really right. Let me make that right with the flower because it doesn't look, something about it's crooked. The paper is crooked is what I'm trying to say. Let me see how I can fix this. Which way do I need to push the paper sideways? That looks much better. Okay, so it's not, well, it's still not right. Like I said, this is not an exact science. You may not get it. You know what? I'm going to leave it crooked, and I'll put a piece of paper or something at the top to cover that. I'm just going to make sure it's matching up this way on my sides and my bottom. Okay, so now I've got that fused in there. I could sew this. I could take this to my machine and sew up the sides and make a little pocket. You could turn this part down. You know, you could sew it into a little envelope or something like that. You could make this and stick some paper into it and have it lift to be a little flap or something. But you can fuse different colors together is basically what I wanted to show you. That you can draw your own designs and fuse that together. Now I could even take the pen. This doesn't show up super well because it's under there. I could even take my pen and just to make it cute, do some little stitch lines around this daisy, or whatever I'm going to call it, a daisy. I don't really know what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a Gerber daisy. I could make it look like a little, you could outline it with your markers. You do need to use a permanent marker on here and get a little design out of it that makes it, you know, kind of cute, I think. This isn't a real sophisticated design. You could really work on doing something more abstract with geometrics, squares and circles and stuff would be really cute. And I'll probably save this one, this flower one. I think this is going to go in my other journal better, so I'll probably use this one in my other journal. It probably won't go in this journal. Because sometimes, you know, that happens. You get something done, and then I could do little dots all the way around, and little dots all in the middle, and have sort of a little, you know, design of my flower if I so want it. You know, if I so want it, I can have it, you know, little designs coming out from my flower. So you can draw on this. You can draw directly on, I was looking for a small piece. This is kind of a small piece. You know, so you can get designs out of this. You can just doodle away, you know. Do some little doodles. You know, just little, you know, something that resembles sort of a little flower head or something, you know, little natural looking doodles. You could just draw something as simple as almost like a curvy teardrop. If you do a curvy teardrop, put a little beak on it, an eye, and 2 little feet. You have a bird. I mean, you can just do whatever you want to on these. Like I said, they sew really well. You can fuse them together. You can fuse, here I just was playing and I took a piece of that cheese, you know, the Swiss cheese one, and fused it to some yellow. So now I have 2 colors back to back for a piece of collage paper. You could cut multiple flowers and layer them. This one's fused. I put yellow on one side, a yellow bag and a white bag together. So I have a yellow on one side, white on the other. You know, I can layer all these together and you know, use a brad or a staple or something, a button, even just do a little knot and stitch these together, and I have this cute little plastic flower that can be used on my project. So those are some of the things you can do with your fused bags, and like I said, once they're dry, you can take some ink over them. I'll put a little ink on the one I've got painted to show you what it looks like once it's inked. This is the piece that I've got painted that is dry. Here. You can take your ink and just lightly touch it. And you're going to get a beautiful little, it's going to show every bit of that texture. It's going to be really pretty. Now you can stamp on this. I guess I could stamp a piece too. I can do that while we're here. Gonna ink up this little leaf. This isn't a hard surface. I hope it'll stamp good. You can see that it stamps well. You bring it in. You can see where the ink shows up all those little wrinkles. You can see that there's you know, a little stamped area. And like I said, you can sew this, you can hand sew it, you can machine sew it. It's very durable. And cut it down into your pages. And then, you know, you can, I've already shown you, you know, you can write on it, you can double fuse it. You can make collage pieces. You can make little flowers. Just let your imagination go crazy. And I'm going to go ahead and complete all my papers and get everything painted and do some cutting, and I will be back for another page tutorial using plastic. Thanks for joining me.